The Ancient and Shining Ones. Chapter 6. Shamanism. The so-called civilized world has always used the term shaman interchangeably with medicine man and witch doctor. People readily identify these practitioners with the cultures of Siberia, Alaska, Africa, and North America. Sometimes this combined thinking is appropriate, sometimes not. A shaman can be a medicine man, but a medicine man is not necessarily a shaman. A shaman can also belong to any other culture in the world. There is evidence of shamanic knowledge in the Mediterranean and Western Europe. In the truest sense, the shaman is a healer, priest, mystic, and poet. Shamanism, in the strictest sense, is part of the religion of Siberia and Central Asia. The word shaman, pronounced shaman, comes from the Tungus people of Siberia. In other Central and North Asian languages, similar words are Tugusik Saman, Yakut Ojuna, Mongolian Buga and Udagan, Turco-Tatar Kam, and the Pali Samana. In these societies, the shaman is the predominant socio-religious figure. Anthropologists have widely adopted the word to apply to a great many cultures who view similar practitioners as wizards, magicians, seers, sorcerers, medicine men, etc. A shaman can be either a man or a woman. In some cultures, a shaman dresses as a woman, so it is possible that originally shamanism was a female spiritual art. A shaman enters an altered state of consciousness at will in order to contact and use other world energies for gaining knowledge, healing people, or foreseeing the future. Through journeys in consciousness to other realms, the shaman gains the help and support of at least one, if not more, spiritual helpers. While in a trance, he believes that his soul leaves his body to ascend or descend into other worlds where he finds the necessary information to perform his tasks on this plane of existence. A true shaman is usually a healer first, a prophet second. He does not ordinarily deal in black magic, curses, control of others, or any of the other charges leveled at him by ignorant, narrow-minded people. Every time the shaman makes his journey into the lower world or upper world, he is offering up his own self to help another. Neville Drury calls shamanism a visionary tradition, while Michael Harner terms it a great mental and emotional adventure. Shamanism is an ancient mystical practice of using the altered states of consciousness as a means of contacting energies, gods, and spirits from this and other planes of existence. The shaman sees all aspects of the universe as interconnected, a network of energy patterns, vibrations, and entities. It is the shaman's responsibility to be an intermediary between the different worlds. First and foremost, a shaman is a healer. The ancient shamans and the new breed of shamans evolving today both use the same old techniques to create self-healing within themselves or others. Shamanic methods the world over are intrinsically the same, even though the cultures in which they live may be vastly different. Although shamans can be separated by oceans or eons, the basic techniques and experiences are amazingly the same. Shamanism may have evolved because primitive peoples lacked medical technology. Faced with the necessity of heal or die, some gifted individuals probably discovered the capacities of the human mind to heal and provide prophetic but accurate information necessary to the health and well-being of the clan. Even today, the so-called scientific miracles of Western medicine are not often enough to solve health problems. Some health professionals and patients are seeking alternative or supplementary methods to surgery and chemicals. This applies to mental as well as physical healing. In fact, most of the field of psychotherapy is less accurate, efficient, and time-tested than the ancient art of shamanism. A shaman expects the patient to participate one way or another in the healing process. The patient takes part in the actual shamanic ceremony, relying upon the shaman's interpretation of the otherworld scenes and symbols which are shown to give him insight into the problem. Although many of the sights and symbols often encountered by the shaman on his otherworld journeys are quite similar to the things seen and experienced by schizophrenics, there is a vast difference in the personalities of the shaman and the mentally disturbed person. The shaman has complete control over beginning and ending his self-imposed journey. He fully knows the difference between the worlds and can interact in this physical world in a normal manner. In short, the shaman has to become an expert in self-control, self-discipline, and reality in all its dimensions. It has been proven that most Westerners have no difficulty learning the fundamentals of shamanic practice. The culture in which one has been raised appears to have no bearing on this manner. Also, most people will not have the opportunity to study under an authentic shaman. Again, this does not appear to be essential if one uses some of the excellent written material available. Naturally, it will be beneficial to study under a professional, but it is not absolutely necessary. A shaman can freely move between what Horner calls an ordinary state of consciousness and a shamanic state of consciousness. In the SSC, dragons and other mythical animals are real, as is flying, conversing with animals and plants, or experiencing symbols. In the OSC, these things are considered fantasy. Robert Lowy calls the SSC extraordinary manifestations of reality. Since no one can incontestably prove that there is only one state of consciousness, both states, the shamanic state of consciousness and the ordinary state of consciousness, are valid realities for first-hand observations. If more people will become shamans and experience the SSC for themselves, their diverse descriptions of the SSC would further the understanding of that non-ordinary reality for those who never enter it. In a few cultures, hallucinogens have been used to help alter the consciousness of shamans. This is not a necessary or positive procedure in which to become involved. Advances in neurochemistry have recently shown that the human brain produces its own consciousness-altering drugs, one of which is dimethyltryptamine. This fact shows two things. First, that one does not need to add dangerous chemicals to the body to produce the SSC, and second, that nature herself considers an altered state of consciousness viable on occasion. Many great athletes enter this altered state naturally during their finest achievements. Mircea Eliade writes that the shaman's universe basically has three levels. Humans live on the earth in a kind of middle zone between a lower world and an upper world. The three are joined by a central axis, symbolized by various means in different cultures. The central sacred mountain of the mythology of India is an example, as is the world tree of Scandinavian legend. Even the spiral path or labyrinth of Celtic mythologies represent the central axis between worlds. The term ecstasy is applied by Mircea Eliade to shamanism. The SSC is a state of exaltation or rapturous delight, which is also a description of the state experienced by Christian mystics. The shamanic trance state is much safer than dreaming. In a dream, a person often cannot voluntarily awaken and thus remove himself from an unwanted experience, particularly in a nightmare. In the shamanic state of consciousness, the shaman wills himself into the altered state of mind and is able to remove himself at any time. There are no uncontrolled, inescapable bad trips, such as occur under the influence of psychedelic drugs. Social or political repercussions are the only possible bad effects that can stem from practicing shamanism. Obviously, not everyone who enters an ecstatic or trance state is a shaman. A similar experience can happen during periods of contemplation or meditation. There are also varying degrees of shamanic trance. They range from very light, such as experienced by many Native American shamans, to very deep and comatose in appearance, as with the Lops. For most modern shamans, entering this state does not mean unconsciousness, but an altered state of consciousness, where the shaman still has complete control. The other criteria, such as believing that the soul journeys to the other worlds and the reasons for journeying, must also be met. The shaman must always be aware that he has a definite mission in the SSC. Entering this state of consciousness is not for play, but for serious purposes. And when he re-enters the OSC, he must know what to do with the information he has retrieved. Of course, shamanism, like any other practice, including Christianity, can be misused and perverted to negative ends. As with meditation, any person who is not being truthful with himself can see and hear whatever he wants to see and hear. A true shaman has seen the depths of his soul, all the positives and negatives buried within his subconscious mind, and taken a stand for truth and light. The shamanic journeys all take place within the mind. This makes them very difficult to explain to other people who rely totally upon the five senses for information. If these experiences are written about and not carefully explained as shamanic journeys, they are completely misunderstood or criticized as fantasies. Some of the writings of Carlos Castaneda and Lynn Andrews fall into this category. The shaman's journey into other world realms is one of the most important tasks of his profession. It is also one of the easiest to learn. The shaman begins by selecting a special entrance or hole by which he mentally enters the lower world. This is most often a real place in nature, such as a cave, a hollow tree, a spring, etc. Following his entrance into the hole, he finds himself moving down a tunnel. When the shaman travels to the upper world, he generally mentally climbs a tree or ascends a spiraling tunnel, but we shall deal only with the lower world journeys here. After making his way through the tunnel, the shaman finally comes to an exit point that opens into a beautiful landscape. Usually this land is very much like, if not identical to, this plane of existence. The only difference is that animals, plants, and inanimate objects, such as stones, are capable of communication. So-called mythical beings may also be present. By communing with the creatures of this world, the shaman is able to obtain the information he needs to correct the problems of his patient in the ordinary world. Mircea Eliade wrote that he found the modern-day male shamans rather took a journey to the lower world. The journey there was featured as the realm of the Dark Mother, the area of death and magical darkness. The accepted journeys to the upper world, the realm of the Sky Father, may have superseded lower world journeys when the male gods took over from the goddess worship. Skilled shamans learn to see, feel, and hear. In fact, experience all senses in the SSC. Their experiences in the lower world have as much validity and reality as happenings in the OSC. Minutes or hours may pass before the shaman returns through the tunnels to his body. This world's definition of time has no reality at all in the shamanic journeys. The shaman is unaware of the passage of time while in a journeying trance. The two most important tools for shamanic journeying are the drum and the rattle. The drum, usually employed by an assistant, has been called the shaman's horse or steed or canoe by many cultures. The drum beat, set at heartbeat rhythm, helps the shaman to switch levels, to ride the sound of the beat down into the tunnel or up the tree. The steady, monotonous sound is a signal to his mind that serious work must be done. It has been scientifically proven that the drum beat frequencies of certain shamanic ceremonies match the EEG theta wave cycle, 4 to 7 cycles per second. The rattle has a higher, sharper pitch of sound. Sometimes the rattle is shaken throughout the ceremony. Sometimes just as a signal to begin and end the journey. Since the sharper pitch of the rattle can be grating to some people, both methods of use should be tried before deciding upon its incorporation into the ceremony. Among the Tonga shamans, the rattle is not used. Instead, the costume of the shaman is decorated with bells and small iron ornaments, which clash and jingle while he dances his way into the trance. If the shaman begins his journey by dancing to the drum beat, he lies down when he feels his journey beginning. If he is journeying to help a patient, the shaman will lie down next to that person, who is lying in the center of the ritual area. The assistant continues to beat the drum until the shaman is ready to re-enter the OSC. Because of this close working relationship with the shaman, the assistant must be someone who is sympathetic to the task at hand, alert to what is going on, and sensitive to the other worlds. When first embarking upon his career, a shaman has to acquire a guardian spirit or animal. Among the Plain Indians of North America, this was accomplished only by going on a vision quest in a solitary area. This required long fasts and isolation. However, both the Javaro of South America and the Southern Okanagan of Washington State believe that a guardian can be acquired without a quest. It is quite likely that the European idea of a witch's familiar came from the use of a SSC power animal or spirit guide. The prerequisite to obtain the help of a guardian, spirit, or power animal seems to be the desire to do so and the belief that it is possible. A deep level meditation, perhaps performed repeatedly over several weeks, can produce satisfactory results. Tradition says that any animal seen 3 times during such an inner or outer vision quest is offering its help as a guardian. Many cultures say that everyone has a guardian spirit or animal, whether they know it or not. The difference between the shaman and an ordinary person is that the shaman actively works with his guardian or power animal. The guardian helps to increase physical energy and mental alertness, and to resist disease. In shamanic tradition, this helper also makes it more difficult for a shaman to die. The Javaro believe that the guardian mainly resides in the chest area. Australian and Western North American tribes also believe this. Other shamanic cultures believe that the guardian enters and leaves through the fontanelle area at the top of the head. Shamanic cultures believe a person can become diseased or open to disease if that person's guardian spirit has left or been lost. It is the function of the shaman to travel to the lower world and retrieve the spirit at the close of his journey back. He blows the spirit back into the patient, sometimes into the chest, sometimes into the head. If the lost spirit cannot be found, the shaman will attempt to bring back another guardian spirit. When this happens, the patient must dance the new spirit to make it feel at home and stay with him. During this dance, the recipient makes the movements and noises of the spirit animal. This is a conscious participation, not uncontrollable possession as in voodoo. Even though a guardian spirit works with a shaman or any person, it does not always stay in the immediate vicinity. It moves around freely, coming and going as it wishes, entering and leaving the body according to its own will. During the shamanic journey, the power animal or spirit will generally meet the shaman somewhere inside the tunnel or just as he exits it into the lower world. Power animals can be any kind of animal, even those termed mythical. In the SSC reality, there is no such thing as a non-existent creature. Dragons, griffins, and other such beings are as real there as any other creature. Generally speaking, the power animal will offer a balance and strength, cunning, or power that is needed by the shaman. The power animal may appear in human form during a shamanic journey. It is essential that a shaman have a guardian spirit or power animal so that he will have help and guidance in mastering the non-ordinary powers with which he comes in contact during his lower world journeys. However, not every person who has a power animal is a shaman. Besides the main guardian spirit, the shaman usually has a number of other spirit helpers. These may number from just a few to several hundred, depending upon the shaman's dedication and the years he has practiced his craft. Spirit helpers each aid in specific activities, while the guardian spirit is a general all-purpose helper with a wide range of powers and knowledge. Spirit helpers can be animals, plants, and even inorganic objects. A shaman on the true shamanic path does not challenge or try to invalidate anyone else's experiences. He will never tell another that only a fantasy was experienced. He completely understands that everything occurring in the SSC is reality, that every symbol in a shamanic journey, no matter how inexperienced the person, has a message. He will contemplate even the most unusual happenings and see how they fit in with what he already knows, for all things are part of the truth. Among most primitive groups that incorporate shamanism, the master shaman takes part in everyday activities like everyone else. He does not seclude himself from the world. It is common for him to be an accomplished hunter, craftsperson, or artist. In short, he is a responsible member of the community, earning his own way and not living off others. The modern-day shaman should accept the same responsibility. A shaman has other magical tools besides the drum and rattle. Sometimes he wears a small leather bag, known as a medicine bag, around his neck. Very small objects and plants that symbolize his helpers go into this pouch. The medicine bundle is a much larger bag or folded piece of leather that contains power objects that generally come to him, either in nature or in unexpected places, such as shops. These objects may be feathers, stones, and crystals, pieces of fur, etc., that have vibrations that speak to him of shamanic powers. The items of the medicine bundle usually represent the animal, plant, mineral, and human worlds. These objects can be used during healing and prophetic ceremonies. It is unlikely that a shaman would use them all at any one time. Some shamanic cultures use masks to represent a connection between the shaman and the worlds of nature and spirit. Sometimes these are worn by the shaman during his ritual, other times only displayed. The original mask was a simple painting of the face with colors and symbols significant to each shaman. Many shamans use a staff or walking stick to direct and receive the higher spiritual energies. This staff is often decorated with symbols of shamanic power, such as colored ribbons, feathers, fur, small bells, etc. These decorations represent the natural elements with which the shaman works. Although the shaman may change the contents of his medicine bag and medicine bundle as his needs change, the staff is a permanent part of his life. Although the staff is commonly of wood, it can be of metal. If you choose metal, however, wrap the staff with leather strips to avoid getting shocked. Some shamans, such as those of North American tribes, use large shells for smudge pots. In these, they burn such things as sweetgrass, sage, thyme, and cedar. This uses the same principle as an incense burner. The smoke of the burning herbs is fanned with either the hand or a feather over people or objects to purify them. A single feather or a whole wing may be used. Traditionally, feathers are the channels for energy and symbolic of the winged clans. Every shaman must learn to use the energies and powers offered to him by the animal, plant, and mineral worlds, particularly the energies of those beings who are his spirit helpers and guardians. Often these powers are not what would be considered usual. They can appear in different energies and powers to each shaman. The costume worn by a shaman is a personal representation of what he is as a practicing shaman. He does not have to clank and bang at every step with bones and beads and decorations, but his costume and appearance should signal to everyone present that he has now changed from his everyday character to a person who is serious about shamanic work. It is not imperative that the shaman own a totally authentic costume, although a set of clothes, especially made of perhaps decorated for that person, especially made and perhaps decorated for that purpose, helps his subconscious prepare for the work at hand. The prime purpose of a shaman's work is to help others, whether this is prophetic or simply involving the patient in self-healing. By helping someone transcend ordinary reality, the shaman can help him transcend his picture of himself as sick or diseased. When he can do this, he knows from the results of his work that he has become a true shaman.